Join me in painting this countryside winter landscape using watercolor. The sketch needed for this painting is given here and the link to the sketch is given in the description from where you can download the image. As usual, I start by wetting the background. I'm going to use wet on wet technique to paint the background. By mixing 3/4 of violet with 1/4 of emerald green, I got a bluish grey color which I use it to paint the background. As an alternative, you can use indigo to paint the background. After painting the background, I tilt the board and collect all the excess pigment which is near the tape using a waistcloth. When the paper is still wet, I added table salt on the wet paint to create a texture that is similar to snow on the branches of a tree. After adding table salt, my paper is still wet. I'm using a waste credit card to lift the pigment in order to create a trunk and branches of a tree. After this lifting technique, I allow the paper to dry completely. Using the light value of that background color, I try to create subtle nuances of shadow in a snowy landscape. Before applying that light value on your painting, first check that color value on a scrap watercolor paper. Next step is to paint the rooster. First I start by painting its comb using crimson lake. After painting comb of the rooster, next I'm going to paint the body part of the rooster using wet on wet technique. First I'm applying Naples yellow, which is then followed by burnt umber. Make note of the brush strokes that are made with this round brush and replicate that in your painting. This is to create a realistic effect of hackles on the rooster. Next I mix crimson lake with small amount of emerald green to get a pinkish brown which is used to paint the breast of the rooster. To paint the feather of the rooster, first I'm using medium value of Payne's Gray. When the applied medium value of Payne's gray is starting to dry, next I'm applying a dark value of Payne's gray and I'm using a negative painting technique, that is I'm leaving some light values of Payne's gray to create the feathers that are in different shades. Next, for dry brush technique, I'm going to use light value of indigo. For that, first I check on a scrap watercolor paper and then I go over my painting to paint the trail of a truck. Even though I check the value of the pigment on a scrap paper for dry brush technique to paint the trail of the truck, I found that the trail is too much dark in value after painting it. I'm going to reduce its value at the end of this video. At last, I'm adding dry grass using burnt umber and Payne's gray. And then splattered indigo in the foreground and some acrylic white at the background. As I said before, the value of the pigment that I used to paint the trail of the truck is is darker than I expected. So I want to reduce its value by using lifting technique. For that, I'm using a damp brush to lift the pigment. Hope you enjoyed watching all the techniques used in this painting. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. See you in another video. Until then, take care and bye bye from Prema.